A good author, much like how I describe composers, has a special gift. Their gift is the ability to take random symbols and organize them across hundreds of pages in a way to where the reader is taken to a different universe. No actors, producers, set designers, costumers, nothing. Just all in our heads. And the most powerful ones can not only make you ache for a character, heck, even love them, but can make you weep bitterly till it feels as though your chest will cave in. Albus Dumbledore, Finnick Odair, Bruno and Schmuel, Severus Snape, Rue, Lenny Small, Sirius Black, Boromir, Fred Weasley. Need I go on? But there was one book death for me that struck quite different. It was beyond painful in the typical definition of grief and agony. It transcended to something that took a while with bits and pieces to put together, something that I only began to understand once I was writing myself. It was the death of Katniss's sister, Primrose Everdeen. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice. Welcome to the final video of this year's Hunger Games month, assuming it's still November when it comes out. It's November when I'm recording, but might not be November when it's published. For those who don't know, I did not begin to enjoy reading until I read this trilogy when I was about 16 or so. The ability to be so spectacularly captivated by nothing but mere words on a page was a marvelous new experience that catapulted me into this new sense of growth and newfound maturity. I distinctly remember several parts throughout reading this increasingly relevant series where I laughed out loud or girlishly smirked. Many scenes where I disintegrated into some combination of gasping, tossing my book, and or almost full-on dry heaving from crying so hard. Needless to say, I get invested and attached. As you can easily deduce, the death of Primrose Everdeen was one of those moments that sent me into hysterics, but not in the way other scenes such as Rue or Finnick's death, the announcement of the third Quarterquell, or Peeta's return did. I was actually in stunned silence for a bit, setting my book down and just trying to wrap my head around what happened. After several moments, and yes, I remember these details, this was a pivotal moment for me enjoying reading, I got teary-eyed, reclaimed my book, and as I continued reading, the waterworks came and the chest pains came. Just not quite as loud as how I maybe reacted to the Quarterquell in Catching Fire. That time I actually screamed. But what is there to question? You don't have to read the books to know this death is huge. Primrose is our main character's little sister. The one she said from the beginning of the first book was the only person she was certain she loved. The death of any main character's little sister would be difficult, even in the horrific way that Prim is lost. Add on top of the fact that the tiered bomb idea came from Gale, though he would never have intended this, nor do I think he was directly behind this one specifically. Of course, it's horrible. So what makes it stand out to me in such a way that I decided to make an entire video on it? It was the literary significance. Story time, my freshman year of college, I joined a little writers group club, if you will, that was filled with lots of chill people who were way more talented than me. That became painfully obvious within the first few weeks. I was hopeful that I could improve, but there were certainly key elements to being an author that I sorely lacked. I have, I think, improved in terms of storytelling, but it's not my strong suit. Nevertheless, I continued to go, take advice, take notes, listen to others, even read aloud my own work, which was sodden with exposition no one wanted. Believe me, only Tolkien can somehow make that work. And little by little, I did grow. It was actually some of the leaders of that group, if you will, who took me to see the premiere of Mockingjay Part 1 because anyone I knew with the car, which was very few, did not want to go see it, and they weren't even huge fans of the trilogy. They appreciate it, but they weren't huge fans, so if they ever see this, thank you so much for taking me to see that. I was so grateful because I did not have a car on campus. But during one of those weekly meetups, the topic was protagonists. Now, being a first-year theater major who was taking Theater History 1, I knew what a protagonist was. I actually did though. It was the character who goes through a change. Obviously a main character, and it has to be a significant change. You get the point. One of the first issues that stuck out to me was the concept of hurting your protagonist, which shocked me even though it was a glaringly obvious thing to do. That's how you grow and change, through adversity. Naturally, still being quite new to the world of literature for the sake of pleasure and enjoyment, I compared every bit of advice I got and everything I learned to the trilogy I was so obsessed with. Am obsessed with. And yes, Katniss had a lot of adversity inflicted on her. But another key point would be that it wasn't needless. It made sense in terms of the story, not adversity for adversity's sake. But it was the next bit of info that drastically opened my eyes. I'll never forget it. I distinctly remember her asking us, what does your protagonist want? More than anything else, what do they want? And what is their answer to it throughout the entirety of your story? Got it? Now keep them from getting it. And she literally meant they never get that thing they want. Not just putting obstacles, though you do put obstacles in their way to progress the story, but they really don't get it. What does Katniss want? From the very beginning, what is it she wants? To keep Prim safe. Yes, there are other needs that arise, like the need to fight and help the rebellion, to save Peeta, etc. But ultimately, the entire series exists because of her undying love for her sister and her one desire, which is to keep Prim alive and safe. Think about that. My gosh, the amount of times Prim has to see and experience these horrid atrocities that Katniss cannot prevent nor stop. Wow. Katniss says it clear as day in Catching Fire that Prim has gone through more at age 12 at the hands of the Capitol than Katniss did at 11. Yes, her father died and she was now providing for her family, but what about Prim? Father dying, brink of starvation, her mother becoming distant and unreachable, watching her sister fight to be able to provide for their family, having her name called her first year in the reaping, the thing she was terrified more than anything else, watching her sister volunteer, watching her sister go through the games. The Capitol's taken everything away from her, and in the end, after everything Katniss has done, what happens? Prim is killed in the line of duty, doing what she was called to do, heal and help others. Katniss, she thought, did everything to protect Prim, but she couldn't. Now yes, there was a bigger picture here in that she unwillingly became the Mockingjay, the symbol of the rebellion, and saved all of Panem with everyone, of course, all the districts and their part to play. But that doesn't change the fact that this was her one want, and she didn't get it. That literary concept, maybe if I had known it sooner, I would have perhaps picked up on some of these things far earlier into reading and not several read-throughs later. But seeing as I was still a newbie to the world of books, I wasn't very keen at picking up these foreshadowings and the like. Still, this piece of information explains why Prim's death was just so horrible. On top of all the other reasons it was terrifying, the fact that the series started with that one motivation, save Prim, makes her death that much harder to read, watch, and experience. Even if you never really connected with Prim, because honestly, I didn't too much, you still feel the power of her death because of Katniss. We've walked with her this entire time through horror, tragedy, PTSD, everything. So we hurt because she hurts. Well done, Susan Collins. Well done. That does it for this video and this year's Hunger Games month. Let me know in the comment section below scenes from the book or the movies that just completely wrecked you. I have a long list and Prim's death is certainly up there, not because I connected to Prim, but because I walked through Katniss with everything and knew that that was her one motivation for everything. A world safer for Prim. And it didn't happen. The world is safer, but my gosh, so good. I'd of course like to thank all of my amazing patrons and channel members. Yes, that's a thing now. You can become a member of the channel and get things like live chat stickers and badges, early access to videos. But again, thank you so much, especially those in the Hylian tier like Joking Batman and Code and Data. Y'all are incredible. But anyway, that's all for today. Happy Hunger Games month and may the odds be ever in your favor.